Hey everyone, it's your very favorite history teacher. Let me see your transcript. And today I'm here with Brandon Mack from Black Lives Matter Houston, HOU. Thank you so much, Brandon, for being here today. Thank you so much, you guys, for waiting while we get started. Oh, let me get the feedback stop. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Um, in the little scroll at the bottom, I have all the information, the way that you can contact if you're in the Houston area or you're just trying to find out more about Black Lives Matter. Hey, Matt Church Disease. And wanted to contact them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They have their own website. Also, their email address. Um, and hopefully, Brandon, you also can tell us where can they go to find a Black Lives Matter chapter or organization in their community. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Brandon, can you tell us how did you get into activism in general?
Sure. So, good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Brandon Mack. My pronouns he, him, his. I've been an activist in Houston for the last 13 years. The way that I got involved in activism is just because of who I am as a person. I am a Black male. I am a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I self-identify as same gender loving or gay. So just being in existence in this country, it always feels that people who are like me, we don't get a seat at the table and we don't get our issues addressed. So I got involved in activism because of the fact that I wanted to be a voice and a representative of my community, and to always make sure that at any table that I'm at, that we are always talking about Black people, talking about LGBTQ plus people, talking about those intersections, and how do we make sure that individuals who are a part of our communities are receiving the attention and the needs that we have. And so I've been a part of a variety of different organizations. I've been an organizer with Black Lives Matter Houston for the last 3 years. So hence I've been in this game and I'm about my community, and that's why I continue to do this.
Okay, that is great. Um, what propelled you to join Black Lives Matter Houston 3 years ago?
So when the organization started, Trayvon Martin, unfortunately, had already been murdered at the hands of George Zimmerman. We also saw what happened with Mike Brown and Eric Gardner. So that was the real touch point of it starting here in Houston. And then, of course, we've had our own Black individuals who have died at the hands of police custody here in Houston. So Jordan Baker was one of the first
Yes.
issues that we got involved with, and worked with his mother, Janet Baker, to try to get justice for Jordan. Then we've had Alba Brazil here in Houston as well. We've had way too many people, and if people are not aware, we have at least had 7 officer-involved fatalities here in the
It's
city.
7 now because I heard 6 last time.
So it is
7.
one person who hasn't been identified. So that's the reason for why we want to always acknowledge that each one of those cases are very important. So it has been 6 that have been identified, 1 additional, which would make it 7 since the end of April. So we have a
And
very
were they all Black?
So they, for the most part, they identify as Black. Some also identify as Latinx. So it is all in.
Explain what Latinx means. I know what it means, but they might not know what it means.
So Latinx is used to, describe individuals who are of the Latin diaspora. So not just only Hispanic, but also including Latino, Latina, individuals who operate outside of the gender binary. So you're able to use Latinx as a term to be able to encompass all the individuals who are part of the Latin experience.
Okay. And also with regard to the Harding Street, weren't those 2 individuals Caucasian?
Correct. So the 2 individuals who died in the Harding Street no-knock warrant raid, those 2 individuals were white, and one of the officers, Gerald Goins, who was involved in that, he was a Black officer. And almost all of the cases that he was involved in have come up under review. It is important to note that one of those cases involved George Floyd.
Okay.
So George Floyd literally was one of the individuals impacted by cops who were not using the same rules and being very dirty towards the Black community.
Yeah. And didn't they, him and the other officer, they were arrested? I think they're on bail, right?
Correct. They were arrested and they are currently out on bail awaiting trial.
Okay. And as for the cases such as that dealt with George Floyd and others, I remember seeing that there was a letter sent out telling individuals like, hey, these two officers involved in your case, that it may be up for review. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So what I can tell you is that, yes, individuals who were arrested or if these officers were involved in their particular cases did receive a letter from the district attorney, Kim Ogg's office, letting them know that those cases would be under review. George Floyd did receive one of those letters because Officer Goins, Gerald Goins, was involved in his case. So therefore, it was coming under review to make sure that, procedure, if it was correct or if it wasn't correct, so that way that they could get proper justice, given the fact that we know that this particular cop was involved in very underhand.
Oh, you froze.
Not following procedure, the new criminalization that was under, false pretenses, false information, and things of that nature.
Okay. What happens to his case and others now? Are they still reviewing all of those cases?
To my knowledge, they're still under review by the district attorney's office. Also, given the fact that the case is an ongoing case because they haven't had a trial yet to involve the two officers.
Do you know when the trial will start with those two officers?
I do not know the specific date of when the trial will be set.
Oh, okay. But they, unlike the officers, I mean, that was took several weeks to happen. These two were arrested. They're just out on bail. And they were fired. I remember that they're fired, right?
Say again?
They were fired, correct?
I believe they were fired.
Okay. I remember seeing
Yeah,
something in the news that they were fired.
Yeah, I don't believe they're on some type of administrative leave or anything of that nature.
Because I know the police union president was very upset.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, let's not talk about Vermont because he's not worth talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, because I've seen some similar issues in other cities where the cops are doing bad, and all of a sudden now, you hear the federal union, officers of the union president is like, "Oh, this is a travesty. We need to get them their jobs back." And I'm just like, okay, no wonder they're saying defund the police.
Exactly, and also that's one of the reasons why we need a national police officers database, because what often happens in these situations is that these officers may lose their job or they may resign in one city, but then turn around and go and apply for a job with a police department in an entirely different city. And because they'll change their names or because, they resigned before being prosecuted, that particular issue doesn't follow them. And then they're still able to be a police officer. So, for example, one of the cops that was involved in the killing of Tamir Rice, she resigned from her job and went on to, become a police officer somewhere else. Most recently here in the city of Houston, we had a case that involved, we had another case where a police officer who was involved in a shooting, she tried to go and get a job, but thankfully, people made it aware that she was trying to attempt to do that because she had changed her last name to use her maiden name to try to get that job. And thankfully, she wasn't able to secure another position. But that's the reason for why that's another step that we have to advocate for, is making sure that we have that type of a database so that crooked cops cannot go and get another job and continue to be a part of the police force. But hopefully we will get to a place where we abolish police entirely, to where we don't have to worry about that particular situation.
Okay. And I think this past week, you guys did a really great job. I believe it was the John Hernandez case?
That's the case that I was referring to, was the John Hernandez case.
And I think she was trying to go to Somerville or something like that in Florida. And she was trying to get another job. Basically, those of you who don't know, John Hernandez was it chokehold or held down?
So John Hernandez was at Denny's getting dinner when he was approached by two officers who were off duty, who held him to the ground with a chokehold, and he unfortunately was murdered. And so the husband in the case, he was prosecuted, but the wife was not. So she then tried to use her maiden name to go off and apply for another police position.
Evelyn, I love you with the love of the Lord. Let's stay on topic, okay? We all 18 will be back on tomorrow on my channel, all right? Okay, let's be respectful to our guests. All right, because they can see the comments in the chat too, right? Okay.
Glad you got love for Daryl.
Yeah, they do. Okay. What was the next question I wanted to ask you? With everything that is going on, can you just, before we get into the events the last 2 weeks, can you tell us what is the Black, because a lot of people are still asking or still saying Black Lives Matter. And you hear these people like, all lives matter. I'm like, wait a minute, we've been explaining this for 5 years. And like I told you before we came on, I'm a teacher. I'm gonna explain it to you. And I've actually gotten into some very heated conversations with people on the media, on social media, because I'm a history teacher, so I have the time. And I feel like that's my calling. I'm going to help you get to another level. Usually they get very frustrated with me after a while because they're like, oh, you're a teacher. We can do this all day. Well, let's just agree to disagree. Because I feel like you have too much to do on your hands to go organize and protest and advocate for us. So I'm just going to do my part. But if you can tell the people who are watching, what exactly is the Black Lives Matter movement, and how and when did it start? And is it a movement or is it an organization? Because some people, like you're a chapter, but it's, yeah, you explain.
Sure. So first and foremost, let's start off with the beginnings. And I mean the very beginnings of us as Black people.
Okay.
We came to this country not of our own accord. And when we came to this country, we were not considered to be people. When we came to this country, we were considered to be property.
Yes.
And then even to go from that to being only 3/5 of a person, and then to be a full person but not given the right to vote, and then not given the equal access to the economics that we helped build this country with, we've never been fully valued as people. So from the beginning,
I'm sorry, can I interject? And then when we were given the right to vote and the opportunity, after 12 years, it got taken all away.
Exactly.
Like, wow. We had black senators and congressmen and people, and it was like taken all away.
Right. And we still are devalued, and our votes are even suppressed. So the whole point of this movement is the fact that we have to clearly state that Black lives matter. Point blank, period. The problem comes in is when someone says but, or try to say all lives matter. No, it is a complete declarative statement that Black lives matter. And all lives won't matter until Black lives matter. So we're calling for our equality. We're calling for the full realization of our value in this country. And so the way that the movement got started was as a hashtag. It was a hashtag that 3 women created to bring attention to what happened to Trayvon Martin. From there, it has sprang into being an organization and a movement. Okay. So one thing that I want people to be very clear of is that Black Lives Matter is an entire movement. There's also a movement that's called the Movement for Black Lives, but this is a movement. So it's not only just in one organization, even though it is an organization, it is all of us who are doing this work collectively to uplift and to make sure that Black people have equity in this country are all a part of that movement. Now, the way that it operates is in a variety of different ways. A lot of people think that, oh, there's only one central Black Lives Matter organization. There are multiple chapters in multiple cities. We all operate in very different ways because we're doing the work of what is necessary for our own individual community. So here in Houston, we do have a Black Lives Matter Houston chapter, BLMHOU. The way that I tell people is to really look up what is in their own city. You don't have to go to a central website or anything of that nature. See who is stating that they have a Black Lives Matter chapter in their city. Generally, it's going to say Black Lives Matter, that city name. Get connected to them, and they will show you the ways that they operate within their city. I think many people are under the under the conception that all we do is protest. That isn't the only thing we do.
Yeah, that's not the only thing you do.
Right. This is a multi-pronged movement, which means that we have to operate in multiple ways in order to get things done. It isn't going to just be accomplished in one way. So protesting is one of the things we do. We host rallies, we host marches, but we also support our communities in terms of filling the gap where they're not getting service from the government or not getting service from other entities. So for example, here in Houston, when Hurricane Harvey happened, we literally organized a Harvey relief because many Black and brown people were not getting service from the major shelters. So we were making sure.
I remember you guys were asking for donations. And I think I did answer some donations. And I actually saw y'all had pictures. Y'all were actually out there delivering, I think it was either food or like toilet paper, paper towels, and like y'all were really out there. And so so every time someone says, "Oh, those Black Lives Matter," I said, "No, the ones here, they're in the community. They do these things. We need to get that right."
Exactly. And so it is a multi-pronged approach because once again, it is about making sure that our lives are valued in every single segment of our lives, right? So we do, as you mentioned, we do hurricane relief. We also speak out at school board meetings because we know that
yes, you do.
Schools don't get
and
the
I
same.
Appreciate that. As a teacher, I appreciate that.
Right, don't get the same resources either. So that's the reason for why we have to approach it this way, because we are going to be the ones who take care of ourselves, right?
Yeah. And also, you guys, I think Shared also serves the homeless.
Yes.
So very much. A lot of you, because my friend Darren Moore had a video from last week. It was like the 5 ways to combat racism besides marching. And I was, and that's why this week I had protesters. I wanted to let them know what they do, but I wanted to have you on because to me, I feel like you're a community activist and you do more than just protests and rallies. And like you said, you're protest, marches, rally, you speak before school board. I've seen you speak before the city council, which we all have the right to do.
Exactly.
You advocate for people in the community who don't know how to go about either, I think this past week, which I thought was great, you guys helped the kids, teenagers in their suburb organize a George Floyd protest.
Yes.
I thought was wonderful because it's like, those are like, to me, those are my students. They're my students' age. And when I worked at early college, I actually helped them organize. We weren't called BLM, at the school club in school. Right. We were called Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle, LBS. And so they actually organized a protest to stop I think it was stop mass incarceration.
Yep.
Because a lot of us are in jail. And so it's not just, like I said, protests, but also doing those other things too that my friend Darren Moore had in his video, going to speak before elected officials, registering people to vote. What other things has Black Lives Matter Houston done in the Houston area?
So in addition to everything else that you just mentioned, we also, as I mentioned, we help with homeless relief. We help with gutting homes during Hurricane Harvey. We also did a coronavirus relief to be able to give people direct gift cards because we knew that they were going to have insecurities in terms of funding and things of that nature. So we've tried our best to fill in the gap, but we also do the education piece, as you mentioned, in terms of working with students so that they know that they have a place and space and that they can use their voices to address the issues that are going on in their community. So we help them in terms of organizing and figuring out the ways that they can get change in their schools and in their communities. So we do a lot of different things. We're always here to help our people.
And what did you do about the protesters the past few weeks that got jailed?
So we did have a rapid response in terms of helping to bail people out of jail. We also helped with jail support so that when individuals came out of the jail, they had food, they had access to resources such as pro bono attorneys. And so we organized those efforts as well. So we were helping, like I said, getting people out of jail, as well as helping them to get the support after they got out in terms of access to resources and access to people to help defend them in the event that they needed defending with their case.
Okay. Let me go back to another question. When a person comes to Black Lives Matter, wherever they are, and becomes a member, what should they expect to do when they first get there?
So the thing you have to remember is that every single organization operates very differently in terms of what they do. We don't really do a membership type of model. If you're someone who comes to us and you're looking to get involved, we're going to connect you to how you can get involved. So that could be, we're trying to plan a protest. We are going to give you the information so that you can join us. If you're wanting to help in terms of education, we got different ways to get you involved. So it isn't like a meeting type of structure or anything of that nature. You can contact us saying how you want to get involved. And our purpose is to help you figure out exactly the way for you to get involved and to use your talents and your gifts to contribute to this movement.
Okay, very good. I asked the same question to, my friend Matt Church-Disease has a very good question. What does Black Lives Do nationwide to help with the incarceration of our people?
Sure.
Mainly nonviolent offenders.
Sure. So we know that disproportionately Black people get criminalized at a much higher rate. So on a nationwide level, what we do is we call for decriminalization of Black people. And that, of course, has to be done both at a federal level, but also at a state and local level. So one of our biggest things with respect to that is we got to change the way that our prosecutors are approaching cases, especially those cases with respect to nonviolent offenders, about looking at the data and they know the realization that they are over prosecuting Black and brown people. So therefore, we have got to change the laws and the instructions as to how they approach that so that they don't have the ability to then do that directly to us. So one of our biggest things is that we call people out. We call those areas out where we see that over policing and that over prosecuting of Black people. So that way they can say, oh, we need to study the issue. No. You've done the studies. We got the data. What are you now going to do about it to change your behavior? So that to me is one of the biggest things that we can do on a national level. But at the same time, our approach is it starts at the local level. We got to hold our own district attorney accountable because how can you how can you have and expect this administration, which we all know is a know nothing administration, especially when it comes to us? We got to fix what we can fix, and that's going to be what we can do at the local level. So that's the main thing, is that we're definitely calling out our district attorney when we see the over prosecution and then changing that. So one of the big things that we've done, especially here at the local level, is that we made sure that we've challenged the increasing in the budget, because if we see increases in budgets, that's going to be additional resources that they're going to use against us. So Kim Ogg asked for an additional $100 million so that she can get more prosecutors. We helped to block that. So it's things like that we do on our level to make sure that we're not the ones who are going to be constantly over policed and over
Kim Ogg, for you guys who don't know, Harris County, Kim Ogg is the Harris County District Attorney. Yeah. So you definitely in your own communities, find out who is the district attorney in your area. Because just like cities have budgets, counties have budgets. And for us, Harris County is the largest county in Texas.
Yes.
So her asking for $100 million for more prosecutors is like, are you trying to put us all in jail? Or are you trying to lower the caseload? Like, why can't those funds be used for something else?
Exactly. Why aren't we getting more mental health professionals? Why are we not getting more social workers? Why are we not putting those funds towards more community and social programs? So those are the type of things that we do. And I always remind people that we have to focus on our local politics, because that's the politics that's going to have the most direct impact in your life, it really is not going to be the federal policies.
Okay, very good. Because most of our every day-to-day existence, we're dealing with county and city issues.
Exactly.
And if you just look at, for example, going to vote, or just getting the quarantine stay-at-home orders for the city and the county, like that has been an issue the last 2 or 3 months, and it seems like the counties and the cities are doing a better job than the states and the national government, and that's day to day. In Houston, for those of you who don't know, like you said, Brandon said, locals is very good. We had our last election, we had a blue wave. Our county is majority blue, Democrat, and the way that they're responding to these problems has been, for the most part, compared to other places, we've done a good job. We could do better, but compared to some other places, doing a much better job. So,
and that's the other part of it. We can help get people there, but then you have to hold them accountable.
Yeah, that's a great advice. When you decide to have a protest or a rally, what are the things you need to do? Sure. I asked the same question to Elizabeth Lozano, who's with Carlismo Brown Berets, and she gave 5 things. So I was just wondering, with you, what are the things that they have to do to organize a protest or a rally? Well, what is the difference? Hold on. What's the difference between a protest and a rally and a march?
Sure. So the way I usually say is the differences between the two is, with a march, you're walking, right? There's going to be movement. You're going to go from one place to another place. Generally, you're going to start at an area where everyone is gathering together, and the place that you're going to march to is going to be the place where you're going to be making your demands. So that's definitely what a march is going to be. Protests, usually you're going to be stationary. You're going to be at the place where you're making your demands, and you're going against what is going on at that particular situation. So, for example, what was held earlier this week on Wednesday was a protest in which we were protesting the city of Houston and what they were doing with respect to our budget, because they increased the budget for the police, and we were asking that they supported amendments that would defund the police in some ways. So that is a protest because we're directly challenging what is going on, and we're showing that we are against those particular actions. Or it could be, you're in favor of something and you want to show your support. Now, a rally is generally going to be stationary, and it's going to be an opportunity for individuals to be able to speak their piece. One of the things that we do as Black Lives Matter Houston is, when we host rallies, it's always going to be the people speaking. We don't allow elected officials to speak, because they already have a privileged place. They already have a platform. So their role when they come to our rallies and to our marches is to listen and to hear directly from the people and take what the people are saying back into their roles and implementing our policies that we want to see in place. Because you have to always remember, elected officials are elected employees. Okay, they work for you. So therefore, you have to be the one who holds them accountable during that election, and in any other ways, the ability to be able to hold them accountable. So we always make sure that it's going to be us that are speaking. We also always make sure that the individuals who are speaking are the ones that are the most affected. So respectfully to the white people who show up, this is not your space. You're not going to get on the mic. This is a Black space. We are centering Black lives. So it's going to be Black people, Black and brown people, who are going to speak, because we're the ones who are impacted. So that's what's going to happen during one of our rallies. And to go back to your question of what you need, for me, the first and foremost thing is you gotta figure out what it is that the ultimate objective is, right? Because that's going to dictate what are you going to do, right? So if it is, that you're trying to go against a particular policy, a protest is probably going to be the thing. If it is that you want to gather together as a community and get people to speak their mind, the rally is probably going to be the most approach. Then you want to figure out where it is that you want to have it. Depending on where you want to have it, that means you may have to get permits. You may have to get additional supplies, such as a speaker system, to make sure that everyone can hear each other. You may need to get a megaphone. You always want to make sure that you have water. You always want to make sure you have food. Go through those channels to get that appropriate, approval to have it in that space. And then you start putting the call out. You put the call out for volunteers. So that way you have people who can help you in terms of getting all your supplies there, as well as maybe helping with perimeter and security. If it gets really huge, you may have to work with getting your own security force to make sure that everyone is secure and that everyone has a focal place of where we're going. So those are some of the things that you do in the organizing, but it always starts first and foremost with what it is that you want to what is the issue that you want to tackle, and then what approach do you want to take, and then that's going to dictate your subsequent actions from there.
Sorry, I'm trying to write this in here so that we could. Okay, so you said, what is the issue? What is the action you want to take? 2, logistics, location, permits, call out from volunteers,
and then call out the people.
Water, security, and is there a 4th thing?
The other thing is just the general call out to the people to make sure that they get the information on where it's going to be, and you go from there. But the key thing is that you always have to center the people that are impacted and give them and uplift their voices.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of times when we do see protests now, and that's one thing I really do like about you guys in the Black, you all and me in the Black Lives Matter. I'm in the movement. I'm just in a different part of the movement.
Exactly.
But with those who organize, I like the fact that you always want people to speak. You don't necessarily want, like you said, not the elected officials. And I wanted to know. Oh Lord, I just forgot my thought. A lot of times, and especially we can say in the George Floyd incidents, and I mean, I like Ravenel, I do, but we see him a lot. Was he called, or do the media just say, okay, what Black leader can we find? Before Jesse Jackson's dementia, he was kind of like the go-to person, or whatever Black leader may, usually a church leader in their community. And so times are changing.
Yes.
Civil rights leaders are not all Martin Luther King types. They are just regular people, or mothers or fathers of victims. So and I saw a post from Ashton the other day. He said he got very angry at the George Floyd funeral. And what do you think about when you see like, oh, they called Ravenel this time?
So first and foremost,
or Sean King. We don't want to talk about that. Okay, let's do Ravenel.
No, it's okay.
That's easier. Okay.
So first and foremost, it's all about what does the family want. First and foremost, it's always about what does the family want in this situation, because it's about them. They're the ones who lost a loved one. They're the ones who are dealing with that loss. So with respect to, Reverend Al being called in, if that is what the family wants, then that is what the family wants. And sometimes they do want a Reverend Al to come in because, once again, it uplifts the issue and it uplifts that person's story because he has a national profile.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one of the things that can be done with respect to calling him in, is because you want to amplify that. So I think in this particular situation, with respect to, George Floyd's funeral, Reverend Al was available. It definitely brought more attention to George Floyd and to George Floyd's situation, even though it already was a national situation. So in that particular instance, I respect what the family wants, first and foremost. Now, are there individuals who use these moments to aggrandize themselves? Absolutely. And those individuals get called out.
Yeah.
Sean King, one of those individuals. So he gets called out when all of a sudden he's showing up, but it's usually for his own purposes and not for the purposes of uplifting the individuals who are the most impacted. Now, going back to the other point that you made about, these central leaders, we don't ever have to worry. We don't ever have to wait for those central leaders.
Mhm.
We are the leaders. We are the ones who are the most impacted, and we are the ones who can fix the situation on the ground. So therefore, it is important that you don't wait for those individuals. You
Mhm.
have your own voice. You have your community. You gather together and you uplift the situation. And then you can utilize all these other resources to even further uplift the situation. But you don't have to wait for them. And you
Okay.
shouldn't.
My friend Matt Church, he had a very good question. He says, "Is it against?" Because we were talking about organizing and protesting. So, is it
Correct.
against the law to arrest protesters? It seems that they just arrested them just for protesting.
So, one of the things you have to remember is we have a First Amendment right to assembly, which includes a First Amendment right to protest, because we also have a First Amendment right to free speech. So, therefore, protesting, you can't be arrested for protesting. What often happens is they're going to put some other type of charge on you, such as
Mm.
disturbing the peace, or getting or arguing with an officer, or disturbing traffic. All those
Mhm.
things are going to be the things that they're going to claim that you're doing while
Mhm.
protesting, but they can't arrest you merely for protesting. And if you've been
Or
following the
having your camera out, right? You can
or
still have
yeah,
your.
it is absolutely you 100%. It is within your right to film. So that's why, one of the great things about technology right now is we have the ability to video,
Mhm.
and we didn't always have that. Can you
Yeah,
imagine what would happen if the Rodney King situation wasn't videoed and we didn't have cell?
exactly. And that was someone who, I think it was the early '90s when we started having these. I think there was a show, Funniest Home Videos. Everyone had a
Mhm.
camcorder
Right,
trying to get a moment, and this happened to be a man across the street
right.
watching what happened and filmed it. And it was just like, you know,
So in general, what has happened, and it is what happened here in Houston, is that many of the people who were out there protesting, they were arrested on false charges, and hence those charges have been dropped in many of those cases. Not all,
that's good.
but in many of them.
And do you guys have, for instances like that, when you're doing logistics, do you have numbers of lawyers or bailout
Hmm.
uh, to help these individuals?
Absolutely. We have individuals who help us immediately with bailing people out of jail, and as well as to be there to help in their defense.
Okay, very good. Christine, what was your question?
Seems like people are laughing with April, trying to figure out what.
'Cause
Oh,
April,
yes, to mention.
April, what's going on? April, I love you, the love of the Lord, and just stay on topic. Yes, Jesse has dementia. That's why you don't see him that often.
Yeah, and with respect to Evelyn's question, unfortunately, I can't speak as to if he got paid or not.
Yeah.
But to Christine's question, do we connect with other organizations? Yes, we do connect and work with other organizations in the work that we do. We have worked with Pure Justice here in Houston,
Hmm.
Texas.
Yeah.
We have spoken with the NAACP. The NAACP, the NAACP is on some other stuff. Let's just say that.
Let's put it like this. There are chapters of NAACP around the country, and some are better
Right.
than not. Ours is in there's I won't say a generational power struggle right now
Oh, very much so
between
in Houston.
I would say what boomers and what Gen Xers, millennials for the direction of the NAACP. So if you ever look at Houston, if you looked at Houston, like, when we had the protest, you didn't see the NAACP, you didn't see them mentioned. That's why, because they're having a generational
Divide.
struggle
Yeah.
right now.
Very much so. But yeah, we do work with other organizations. Some other organizations we've worked with here in Houston have included West Street Recovery, which has been helping people with Harvey relief, Pure Justice, as I mentioned. But we're always open to partnering with other people as long as their intentions are, once again, the uplifting and the supporting of Black people.
Are there any other?
Sorry if I'm all up in the Kool-Aid chat. I'm just trying to make sure I address your questions.
Okay. Evelyn said you didn't know if he received none or not. For the funeral, I will say that if he did receive payment from the funeral was paid by Kanye and Floyd Mayweather and a couple of other celebrities, right? So
there were
family wouldn't have had to pay for that.
Yeah, there were many people who contributed to financing the funeral.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, for the new laws, Roxanne, like Brandon said, they've added things like, noise, blocking traffic,
right. You're not going to see
conduct. A lot of that came about as
right. You're not going to see any specific law that says you can't protest. It's going to be something else that they're going to try to attach it to, such as, a noise complaint or to defending, blocking traffic, which is the reason for why if you ever see a protest going to a freeway, that's one of the easiest things that they can try to get you for is saying you were blocking traffic.
Yeah, I think a couple of years ago, but I was in the back of the protest. I think the one that was in 3rd Ward. Was that for, I'm trying to think, who was that for? Was that for Mike Brown? Or was that for someone here in Houston? So it was in 3rd Ward off of Sophomore. It was in front of
that was Mike Brown. I was there that night.
Mike Brown, okay. And so everyone kept going. I'm in the back. I'm still walking. And then the next thing I know,
yes.
And then the next thing I know, someone says they're on the freeway. And like people that I watch on TV are talking about us. They're like, yeah, in Houston, they don't disturb traffic. They're on 288 highway. 288 south goes to downtown. And so, and I noticed in this last round of protests that they kept trying to make sure nobody went to the freeway again. I guess like they don't want another incident. And this is the thing. I was going to ask you a personal question, and maybe I don't know if I should ask you that. I got a little bit upset by last Tuesday's protest, because I was like, this is the 3rd protest. They only had 2 other protests by Black Lives Matter. Y'all didn't have all these cameras and stuff out here, all these rappers and stuff, which was great. I loved it. It was fine. And the mayor out there speaking and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, and then someone brought out they brought out Joel Osteen. I don't know how they got him out there. I'm glad he didn't talk. And then they got Reverend Bill Lawson, I loved his speech. It was wonderful. But I was just like, is this supposed to be the official one? And it was like, oh, we have 60,000 people here. And I'm just like, but my friends in my head, I'm like, my friends had 2 protests Friday and Saturday, and some of them are in jail. And then I actually heard a lady say, a young lady, and my friends had to remind me about, for generations and age and things. Because she said, oh, and they asked her, I think a reporter asked her, oh, why are you here? And she's like, well, I was just waiting for the moment for a leader to step up or someone to step up and tell us to come out here. And I've been waiting, and I heard, and she said, I think she said Trader Truth, Bun B, and I think she even said the mayor. I was just like, mayor. And she said, and that's why I'm out here. And I was like, but in my mind, I'm like, but there were 2 other protests. I saw it on Facebook. But then I had to think, she is Generation Z. She probably listens to these rappers. She knows who they are. And that actually propelled her to come out here. So I was like, I shouldn't take away from the fact that she's here. Just be glad that she's here. But I guess I have a misconception that I wonder if other people around the country was like, oh, look at this big protest in Houston on Tuesday. And I'm just thinking like, but that's the 3rd in my mind, I'm like, that's the 3rd
one. Right.
2 other ones.
So my biggest thing is this, and this
Like
is what
does this one count and not the other ones don't count?
they all count, right?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
here's the key thing. Nationally, we're having a moment, right? We're seeing protests throughout the entire world. We're having a national, an international world moment right now where people are activated. My biggest question to people, where are you going to be 6 months from now?
Yes.
Because this is a movement, this is continuous. This still is going to be a situation 6 months from now. We're still going to be trying to address what happened to George Floyd, what's been happening to everybody else. And I need to know that we're still going to be here in this moment and in this fight. So while, yes, people got activated, they came out because they saw who was attached to it and things of that nature. They had their nice little selfie photo to say, hey, I'm a part of the movement and things of that nature. But my question is, where are you going to be 6 months from now? Because this movement is still going to be going on. We still are fighting economic injustice against Black people. Why is it harder for us to get home loans? Why is it harder for us to get our own businesses? That's a part of this movement. Why are our schools not funded equitably? Why are our teachers not getting the resources they need to do their jobs effectively? Why are we still facing housing insecurity? What are we doing about homelessness? What are we going to do about criminal justice reform? Are we going to see an abolished police state 6 months from now? So that's my question to people in this moment, is that you don't need to wait, once again, for a leader to call you. If you're looking for a leader, look in the mirror.
That's true. Daryl Moore's son, I got to speak with him last Sunday after Evelyn and not after, I'm sorry, after Elizabeth and Anicia spoke. He actually organized the protests. And he's 23. And his dad said, I didn't know he was organizing protests. I just thought I was taking him. And I asked him, I said, well, what made you do it? He's like, I just saw something that needed to be done.
Exactly.
And I just sent an email. I just posted something on Facebook. And I told my friends. And he ended up with 200 to 300 people out there.
Exactly. That's how it started.
And they ended up on the news. And he's like, and they were in front of the police department there in their little, little suburban town. But
it's just like the people in the chat are bringing up, we're still gonna be Black. We still gonna be here. These issues don't go away overnight. And when I hear people saying, well, what can I do? What are you doing at your job? What are you doing at your job to make it easier for Black people to even go to work? We still are dealing with a global pandemic right now. What are you doing to make sure that Black people don't get evicted? What are you doing to address our issues? So you can use your platform. You can use even your own local experience. And also, it ain't our job to educate you on the Black experience. Okay? If you're going to ask for that, you better pay us for that. Number one. Number two, if you really are about it, then you can use Google. You can go to the library. You can educate yourself, because we as Black people always are the ones who have to be educated on everybody's experience, but people are not educated about ours.
And then when we tell you and explain to you, you still don't want to hear us. This is like, so a lot of times, like I told you, a lot of times when they start saying things on social media, and they're like, well, teach me, what is it about? And I do. I go step by step. And then after a while, they get tired of me because they were like, oh, because then they'll go look at my bio and they're like, oh, history/history. Oh, we gonna be here. Yeah, you said teach me though.
It's right. And this is not
so
just.
I'm gonna do it today so that the activists don't have to worry about you. That's my job. I'm a teacher. So okay, this is it. Here we go. So yeah. So yeah. Yeah, that's right. Roxanne, there's work has to continue. This isn't the end. You okay, Matt Church Disease? You feel like you're preaching today. What do you think about Roxanne's other question?
So yes, here's my thing with that. We need to rethink what policing means. Because one of the problems that is pervasive in the current police system is police culture. Police culture is inherently anti-Black. So one of the reasons for why we're saying we need to dismantle police is because they automatically view us as negative. They automatically view us as being criminal, and we have to eliminate that. So I do agree. We need more neighboring, us watching each other. And because it also is about us being a community looking out for one another. And that doesn't necessarily have to look the way that it currently looks in terms of it being, someone with a badge. It could be a social worker. It could be, a mental health counselor. It could be someone else to address the situation right then and there, rather than it being someone who has a gun and who automatically thinks that you're a threat.
Exactly. What about people who say, there are some who are saying abolish the police. Then there are others who are saying defund the police. I'm for defunding the police. I feel like the police, every time I think of the movie with Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J, SWAT. I think of them like SWAT was a unit in that movie. But I feel like when I look at the police now, the whole unit is SWAT. Y'all all in your little riot gear. You got these big old guns. You got more bullets. And I actually think, in some cases it made it worse. Like because initially the protests were peaceful, but then the police got more antagonistic, and then you started getting people angry, started rioting, looting, and vandalizing. And then others, I think, who jumped in and took advantage of it. But still, and then now you get National Guard sent out, and it's like, wait a minute, y'all really need out? Why are y'all on the roof? Like,
right,
y'all gonna take out.
Right, because they're escalating the situation rather than de-escalating the situation. So even if you have, police, it is about what is the approach that they're taking. Because currently, a lot of our police, their approach is shoot to kill, not to disarm, not to de-escalate. So hence the reason for why you are seeing the reason for why people are saying, oh yeah, defund the police. But then that could also lead to abolishing the police and creating a new system. I understand a lot of people don't necessarily want, and they don't. And when we say abolish the police, it means a lot of different things than just, the next day we have no police. It is going to be a structured system. But the thing is, we have to dismantle the current system that is there because it clearly is not serving us. And that can be done in a variety of different ways. So that's the reason for why it's all about the ways in which it's going to, it is presented and the ways in which you're going to implement it. But it's not one day here it is, the next day it's gone. That's not what's going on in that situation.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. And that's why I think I was having this conversation with the 18 the other day, and they were like, they want to defund the police. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, well, what about security? And I'm like, when your son went out there to the protest, it was 200, 300 people. What did the police wear?
Riot gear.
Riot gear. 200 to 300 people who basically marched a mile to the precinct and was there and left.
Yeah, I mean, one of the protests that I helped some students with, literally the cops came in riot gear, and it's like, wait a minute.
How many people were there?
You're already coming in saying that your intention is negative. So what do you think people are going to do? They're going to, of course, try to level up so that it's equal. So once again, it is a matter of how are they even approaching it? And if the current culture is always to approach Black people as being dangerous and Black people as being criminal, then it's a systemic problem that we have to address. We can't keep putting Band-Aids, because what happens with a Band-Aid? It comes off. We need something that's more permanent and something that's more sustainable.
Okay. Mad Church sees, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think getting rid of the entire thing will figure out what we're going to do. I don't think that's where we're.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's what I'm saying at all. Is that I'm not saying that the next day is something completely totally done. This is going to be a stair step. But what needs to happen once again is this current system can't keep going on.
Barbara, what do you mean?
See, and a lot of people say, you know, oh, the actions of one, but what are police doing to even control themselves, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we need to have is police accountability boards with subpoena power. That could be made up of actual citizens who have the ability to hold officers accountable, to be able to see these videos, and they could be independent of actual police to say, hey, this is what happened in this situation. There's some accountability here. But when you're a system that wants to maintain your authority and maintain your power, you're not going to enable anyone to come and check you. So that's the problem, is that we see good police who are not even checking their own police.
I only saw one police do that, and they
Right.
stopped him. The 75-year-old man that was protesting got pushed down by one cop. The other cop went down to get him. He was like,
right. And
like,
the thing is, if we saw right, if we saw, and you know, to some of the points that are being made, if we saw more police actually policing themselves, then that would instill some sense of accountability. That would instill some sense of trust, but we don't get that. And when we call for that, then they still approach us as being for the problem. I'm asking you to do the job that I and my taxes pay you to do.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, there was one.
And then oftentimes we'll get told, oh, our police force is diverse. Just because you have Black and brown officers doesn't mean that police culture is not going to be instilled in them. And then the next thing you know, they're going to prioritize blue over you and me, even though we're the same race.
Yeah, because I did see a Black female cop. She did reprimand someone else. Then she got in trouble. And I'm like, she needs her job back. Right. I don't know if there's a petition or not, but she definitely should get her job back, because she was actually trying to prevent a worse situation. What did you think about Killer Mike's speech? Because I didn't know that he was actually a son of a police officer.
I actually haven't heard his speech.
Okay. This was after Atlanta had their protest and it turned violent. They destroyed, some people, not all of them.
Right.
Some people took advantage of the moment and vandalized where the CNN is located and some businesses around there. Then,
and let's also be very clear that a lot of the people who were doing the looting were not us.
Yes, it was not us.
It made it a lot of the videos. It was not us.
I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you heard him. His name is Jake Paul. He is a white YouTuber, and he has like millions of followers on YouTube. He does weird stuff. He goes to weird places. I never really liked him. I haven't liked him since he went to Japan, and they have a forest there where people commit suicide on a regular basis. And he took pictures, or he filmed pictures of a dead body. And he got into a lot of trouble for that and lost a lot of followers. Well, he decides to take his camera and his friends in Los Angeles and go looting and vandalizing. So he can post it on the channel and get views and things. So it's just like, if he's doing this, how many other people are doing this? And then African Americans and also our other allies are getting blamed for it. You know. Mad Church Disease, are you okay? What's going on? Well, I was gonna say hit people. Why you want to hit people to stick? He's my friend. Yeah. Okay. Basically, what Killer Mike said, which some people have a problem with, they felt like when Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms came out, she's the mayor of Atlanta, and she brought Killer Mike out and she brought T.I. out. And basically she said, this is the home of Martin Luther King. We shouldn't be doing this. A lot of people feel like she was kind of like placating to the Black middle class. Right. Not really listening to everyone else. And they felt like she brought out Killer Mike and T.I. because, hey, they're rappers, but they also own property in Atlanta, and they probably don't want it messed up. And Killer Mike was like, he did say something. You said, hey, what are we going to do 6 months from now? We need to get people registered to vote. There's an election coming. Let's do this and that. But at the same time, I kind of felt like he was telling them, hey, stop protesting and go home. And then T.I. T.I. comes out and says, "This is our Wakanda." I kept thinking to myself, and I even did a video that says, where are the woke celebrities? Why are some of them silent, and why can't the other ones shut the fuck up? Because this is not helping the situation. And like, this man really just said, "This is our Wakanda," because Atlanta is a very, black city. But I kept thinking to myself, well, what's the way Wakanda is imaginary? And if I'm mistaken, when I looked at Wakanda, there was no police hurting other black people, and everybody was black. Everybody.
So that's
like,
the problem.
Just need to be quiet.
But that's been one of the problems, right? Is the fact that for too long there has been a privileging of property over people. So that's problem one, is the fact that, police as a organization and entity, their primary function has always been the protection of property over people. So that leads once again to contributing to the devaluation of us as Black people.
Yeah, because I was even. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Secondly, we've been quiet. We've done silent protest. Okay, Colin Kaepernick took a knee as a form of a silent protest. You still had a problem with that.
Yes.
We had Eric Garner, where he was in a similar situation where he couldn't breathe. You clearly didn't learn from that situation, because this cop did put his knee on George Floyd's neck and looked directly in that camera. That clearly tells you that they are not learning from these situations, and we therefore can't have the same responses, because what is that going to lead to? So what you're seeing is people who you have beaten down consistently, and consistently telling them, oh, this is the way to get change. It's the vote. This is the way to get change. It's doing this. But clearly you haven't learned. So what we're doing is a multi-pronged approach. And so I need people not to contribute to a problem, in which case they say one thing is better than the other. The way that this change is going to happen is it's got to be from all these different sides. It's got to be protesting. It's got to be rallies. It's got to be marches. It's got to be people getting the vote. It's got to be people demanding for change. It's got to be all these things. But they have got to hear our voices, and that has to be done through action as well.
Okay, Evelyn, what you mean by that? Okay, April, what do you mean by that?
And April's right, because you have to remember about Black Wall Street. That is a history that we do not talk enough about, is the fact that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had our own businesses. We had our own communities, and the KKK came in and burned it all down and killed us. But and yet we're just supposed to be nice about it. So that's the reason why I'm like, no, you got to have a response that is not just us being, nice about the situation.
Yeah. And if you notice that this time around when we had the peaceful protests, and then some of the looting and rioting taking place, and say I'm okay with looting and rioting, it was places that rich people really frequent, because it seems like they only care about property. So I got to get your attention. People weren't really going after their own business in their community. It was other places. Okay. What was I gonna say? Wait, what did you say? Hold on, That's true. That's what Brandon was saying earlier. They need to have other skills besides these, because there's some of the guns. Because I was looking one time I was looking at the Houston Police Union, and they had a website, and then there were on the website it was like, policemen are severely under-equipped please support a policeman. And they had these guns, these things they needed to wear. And I kept saying, the police need money for more weapons? And I'm looking at the weapons like, this don't look like no regular weapons. And then I saw that they had a fundraiser that Shell Company was putting on for them. And I was just like, wait a minute. Do I gotta boycott Shell now? Because this is excessive. So it goes with, like so some of you are saying, defund the police, abolish the police. Defunding them when their budget is such a big chunk of the total budget of
$1
the
billion.
city, that is very alarming. Even I think her name is Mayor. I can't think of her name. The mayor of Washington D.C.
Muriel Bowser.
Bowser.
Yeah.
She's getting some criticism now because even though she made, Black Lives Matter Plaza and painted Black Lives Matter on the street, she just asked for an increase in the budget for the police.
Right.
And I'm just like, wait a minute, sis, that's not it. That's not it. Are you doing that so that Trump won't bring any more people? Or what is I'm confused.
Yeah, we can't keep having these symbolic gestures. It needs to be actual substantive change.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I read about this. Trump is going to be in Tulsa on June. By the way, my friend Rico Wright is running for mayor of Tulsa. So he's actually the owner of the Black Wall Street Gallery there.
Well, definitely good luck to you.
We went to Columbia University together, and he actually went back home. He wanted to do some things in his community. But oh Lord, he's going there on June 19th.
I'm like, if you don't need any more signs of the disrespect that he has when it comes to us, right?
And then the person who's writing he's supposed to be making some racial equity speech, and the man who's writing it, Stephen Miller, has been basically spearheading all the anti-Black, anti-immigrant things the administration been doing for the last 3 years. And ironically, he's Jewish. He was like, wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to be? Wait. I'm confused. Yeah. It's I do think Juneteenth needs to be a national holiday. It's a Texas holiday. But in some other places it's actually becoming a holiday. But yeah, I just keep thinking like, who is in the room with you? Who keeps saying these are good ideas? Are they trying to get him fired? Assassinated? Because I don't know what's going on.
I once again just think that it's indicative of what he truly thinks of us as a people.
Yeah. He says, I think.
No, he most definitely probably doesn't read books except for his own, and they're horrible.
So they didn't think someone else is tweeting and setting up his schedule. I think that's him tweeting. If someone needs to take his phone
away, right?
His phone or something, because it's. And you see, he got so scared he went into the underground bunker. I don't remember the last person who ever went to the underground bunker. Maybe not all of them, but maybe
I
not.
can't either. But once again, what does that do? It contributes to dehumanizing us because it's making us look like we're a threat, that he needed to go to a bunker for when people were exercising their First Amendment rights. And weren't even doing anything to the to the White House.
And he put a big old wall around it. I'm like, dude.
Once again,
is this the wall you wanted around the White House?
Yeah, once again, unnecessarily escalating a situation.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you want? Oh, I'm sorry, we forgot. I didn't mean to forget. Lord, forgive me. I'm sorry. When you first heard or first saw the issue with George Floyd, the video, did you see the video?
I did see the video.
And when you saw where were you when you saw the video?
I was here at home when I first became aware of the video and also when I saw the video.
Okay. And what ran through your head, and what was your immediate, like, because you said, you see something, you got to think, like, what's the purpose? What do we got to do? What did you think and wanted to do?
So immediately when I saw it, my first thought was Eric Garner,
Mm-hmm.
and that here we are once again where we are literally calling out that we can't breathe, that another Black person is simply saying, I can't breathe, and their simple call for assistance is not being addressed. Then to see the other officers being there and not offering assistance just added an additional level of the anger, then adding an additional level of anger of seeing that it's being filmed by other people who are saying he can't breathe, they're trying to offer help. And so it was just literally just the anger about that situation of clearly you don't even see us as human. You don't even value our breath. We can't even be in existence in this country and it being treated as equal. So, after that, it was thinking about what's going on in the world. We are dealing with coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
It is disproportionately impacting us as Black people. We are dying at higher rates of coronavirus. And then on top of that, we had the situation with Ahmaud Arbery. We had the situation so we can't even jog. We had the situation with the gentleman in Central Park. We can't even go bird watching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all those things building up to being, we can't even live and just be in this country. So for me, the thing became, okay, we got to get together to be in community and get a space to, one, just be, two, to breathe, and three, to express what it is that we want to see change, because we're all having to deal with all of this at a simultaneous time. And we need a space and place to be able to do that. So that's when the organizing started. Right there was just to create that space, because literally, where were we going to put our pain? Where were we going to put our anger? Where were we going to put what we were going to do next? So it was about, we have to create that space for us to be in community, because we're all feeling this as Black people. So that was what the rally was, and the march was about that, and giving us that place and space to acknowledge that we lost one of our own, and we didn't have to, because when are they going to stop being on our neck? When are they going to let us just live and be?
You okay?
So, this is...
You okay? You need like a minute?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay.
But the point is that that's why we keep doing this, and that's why we keep working on this, because we got to protect each other. We don't got to work. We don't got to wait for a charismatic leader or someone. We can do this. We got to take care of each other, because they're not valuing us, but we value each other.
Okay. What was the first call you made after that? Did you make calls or emails to other members of Black Lives Matter Houston? Or did you just start writing down your strategy?
Yeah, we collectively, started talking about what we were going to do. So yeah, it was definitely us collectively reaching out to each other. First off, just checking on each other, because once again, we're all together in this moment.
Because it's also mentally draining sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
It's mentally like, okay, I just need a break from this so I can adjust.
That's the other thing. It is okay if you need to do that for yourself. Okay, it is okay if you need to do that for yourself. Okay, don't be unaware of the situation, of course, but it's okay if that's what you need to do for yourself, is to not see it, because we see enough Black pain every day.
Um, have you guys been able to speak to the family, George Floyd's family?
We have been able to speak with the family. Um, and, it's just a matter of us doing what we can and be here to do the work, to be there for the uplift of our communities, and to, advocate for what our community wants to see happen and wants to see changed.
Okay. What are your thoughts on, I hate to say this lady's name, but she gets on my nerves, Candace Owens, and what she said about her confession about George Floyd?
Candace Owens is not worth speaking about because nothing that she says has any basis in fact. And what she wants is for us to talk about her because it gives her a platform. She's not worth my time.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want us to know? Does anyone in the chat have any other questions for Brandon? Anybody? There might be a delay.
Sure. I guess for me, the number one thing that I'm hoping, and I thank everybody for being here and for watching this. I hope this has been helpful. The number one thing, and it goes back to one of the first things we talked about, Black Lives Matter, period. Simple, declarative statement. You cannot say all lives matter until Black Lives Matter. So there's no but. There's no additional statement that needs to be said. Black Lives Matter, period. And we're going to keep working until this country acts accordingly. That Black Lives Matter.
What did you say, Roxanne? Okay, never mind, Roxanne. Okay. Is there I put it, is this to make sure I put in the scroll at the bottom all the information to contact you guys in case you guys in the Houston area want to reach out or support. The Cash App for Black Lives Matter Houston is because like I said, they do that's correct. Okay. Because they do great things in our city. Like you said, bailing out protesters, helping people with Harvey relief. I think you guys were passing out masks or something, or searching for masks for people. And they are not, they're unlike some maybe other more well-known activists, they're not getting paid for this. It's not all about them. It's all about what they're doing in this community. So, okay. And if any of you are looking to get involved with the Black Lives Matter in your own community and you're having a hard time, you can email me. Can they email you, Brandon? Email the number?
Email us. Yeah.
Email us.
As you see in the scrolling, our email is blmhoustontexas@gmail.com or blmhou@gmail.com.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Hold on, Brandon. Okay. Someone has a question. Now I need you to address it, please. When you first came on, you said that you were African American and you were a gay, gender loving man. Can you explain why did you even tell us that? And you gave us your pronouns.
Sure.
Which I actually went over the other night about pronouns with people. So can you explain that yourself?
Sure. It's because I bring all of myself to this work. So all of my intersections are important. The intersection of me as a Black, same gender loving gay man is important because it is who I am. And I bring all of myself unapologetically to this work because every single one of us as Black people all matter. So hence the reason for why I just am very, very clear in who I am. And that's the reason why it's important to know people's pronouns, know how we self-identify, because we bring all of ourselves to this world. So that's why I say that.
Okay. And her question was, are you supposed to treat you any differently than I guess, a straight man?
No, you treat me how you treat me as you would be treated, or how you would treat, how you want to be treated in this world. Is bottom line. So I'm not asking you to, treat me differently, but I represent African Americans. I represent LGBTQ. I represent my communities and all the communities that I belong to. And plus, it was important since you asked me about my origins in activism. That's an essential part of my origin in activism.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brandon, for and this is the email, correct?
Yes, that is one of our email addresses. Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Brandon, for coming. 'Cause I know you guys have been really busy the past 2-3 weeks. You're probably gonna continue being busy. But I wanted people to know what Black Lives Matter is from someone who is an activist and organizing a community, not what they heard or what they read, or and also how they can get involved.
Mm-hmm.
They want to. I did eventually used to go to the protest. Like, I'm friends with Ashton and Cher and Candace, and I hope I'm friends with you now. So I'm
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna send you a request after the program. But if you can't go out there and protest, you definitely can. Like I said, PayPal, Cash App, the local Black Lives Matter in your community. Help with bail, sign a petition. Okay. We all have social media accounts. I have like 5. I'm always sending stuff out. I have friends and I have friends of friends who are in different fields. And so, and I think I even sent, I think Candace, another friend of mine, is a lawyer. She was like, hey, if Black Lives Matter need a lawyer, give them my name. So I gave them her name. And so, we're definitely out there to, like you said, what are we going to do 6 months from now? Yes, we need to vote. We need to go out and vote. Everybody else is out here protesting. That's great. We all need to go vote too. But we need, like you said, we need to do things at our local level. And if we can, if someone tells y'all out there, why Black Lives, you say Black Lives Matter and they put All Lives Matter on you, you need to let them know.
Right.
All lives won't matter. Not all lives will matter until Black Lives
matter. Exactly.
And if you are this is just for me. If you are having trouble and they hit you with that, well, you need to teach me. Give them my email. I'm not this is my first summer that I'm not teaching summer school. I got time.
Right.
I got time. Because it's hard out here being Black every day.
It's hard.
And then now you want me to teach you not to be racist. And by the way, there's also another organization. I'm going to see if I can get them to come on. They're woke white people who help other white people to be woke. Surge. Showing up for racial justice, because they need help too.
Right.
It's exhausting sometimes. So, but anything else you want to add, Brandon, before you leave?
Just once again, remember, we don't have to wait for a leader. You can be your own leader, and you are your own leader. So the important thing is to get involved where you can get involved.
Okay. Evelyn, I don't know. Brandon, were you ever on another show?
Yeah, the specific show that Evelyn's referring to, I've never been on it.
Okay, Evelyn. All right. Thank you so much, Brandon. I really appreciate it. And you have a very good rest of your evening. Thank everyone else in the chat for your questions. Please support or join the local Black Lives Matter in your own organization. Okay. Hold on, y'all. All right. Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can email Black Lives Matter Houston. Brandon, I'm going to let you go. I got to do a last minute announcements for everyone.
Sure.
And I will talk to you later. Okay.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Okay. Bye. I got a laptop. Love y'all. Y'all have a good night. Bye.